So the treasury broke and they say that recession jamming. So to foreign countries really start migrating. They lose faith in the country, they say we gone down the drain. They say no more could we see happy times again. But the will to recover in my people like have confidence. Although many may seem to feel that I talk it nonsense. But the majority of we decide we're not going to run. Because now is the time to show we patriotism. For we country facing, it's darkest hour. So our people need us today more than ever. But in our fight to recover, if ever you feel to surrender, it have one little thing that I want you always remember. We could make it if we try, just a little harder. If we just get one more try, life could be much sweeter. From the time we analyze just what was the problem, yes, we start making very positive moves to solve them. We fire the old session managers we had working, and it's a new group we went and we bring in. And if the goods we require, them new managers not supplying. When election time come back wrong, it's new ones we bring in. But if it's one thing about my people, I could guarantee that they would never ever put back for country. I know the country facing its darkest hour, and our people need us today more than ever. But in our fight to recover, if ever you feel to surrender, it have one little thing that I want you always remember. We could make it if we try, just a little harder. If we
yes, indeed, of course. A pleasant good night to all on Sundry, East, West, North, South, Central, our friends in Tobago. Yes, share. From tonight, just share. It's the most, I would say, informative, and the most to be popular. And yes, we have had, of course, some stats and statics. We have had some goes and pauses. And people would become, of course, frustrated. I understand that. But what you cannot confirm is the lack of commitment, dedication, and indeed, always in the interests of the grassroots in particular, and the development of the country in general. Cannot deny us of that. I'm talking here about the what? The corridor transformation. That's what I'm talking about here. And therefore, of course, while it is the last night of the week for the program, certainly I look forward to next week when we will run off, of course, all the things that we would have promised. Yes, we have been tardy, but of course, you know that this is a, for want of a better term, bootstrap operation. It is financed by Lennox Smith. And of course, those persons who have a desire, unrelenting and indivisible commitment to the concept that Trinidad and Tobago can do better. And the sum, or should I say, those elements that make up the sum total called Trinidad and Tobago, and those who may have run astray or run aground, if you want to call it that, and therefore, for the time being, are not optimally utilizing the human, physical, and other resources in order to contribute to national development. And as my colleague will always say, charity begins at home and ends abroad, even in the context of what I consider to be intra-development commitment, meaning that within the country, because you have your own neighborhood, you have your own village, and therefore, from that perspective, from a micro level, one can say that that in itself gives credence to the concept of charity begins at home, in your neighborhood, in this case, in your family, in your village, neighborhood, and ends abroad, meaning that to contribute to any part of Trinidad and Tobago, any part. And that is where we are. And if each one of us would have done our respective parts, Trinidad and Tobago will be a better place. I just had a conversation with a young man whom I respect tremendously. And I will give you a brief background as to why. It was the first young man who came to me and said, Mr. Smith, we want to be entrepreneurs too. We want to contribute to the economic or commercial development of the area, because we believe that not only would it bring employment opportunities so badly needed in these communities, but more significantly that it will neutralize or at least reduce the perception that the rest of the nation has about East Port of Spain. And of course, add to the reduction in patronage or participation or the gravitation of consumers to this part of the city in order to patronize traditional and keep their business doors open, traditional businesses, whether it be the meat seller, whether it be the person who is selling wholesale, or whether, of course, he is selling items that may be considered to be intoxicating. I'm talking about the bartenders and the bar owners. All of that. All of that. All of that, yes. You would appreciate. I was given a note just now, so I had to pause and read to see whether the significance of it. Let me just take over this. My apology, of course. Sometimes as Murphy's Law goes, when something has to go wrong, it will at the worst possible time. They had all the time to contact me before we got in. And as soon as we are in, something important, of course, was drawn to my attention that I had to interrupt this very important discussion tonight to, of course, treat with. But it is very important that we understand our roles and responsibility, because I am eternally optimistic. I have faith and confidence in the present administration to deliver. I had none in the context or during the last administration, because it was more mama guy, superficiality, trying, of course, to hoodwink and deceive, but never delivering. But, of course, can tell you the most glorious, the most handsome, the most phantasmagorical stories. They're going to tell you, they told us that property tax was a cardinal sin. Cardinal sin. The same people who did that then said and make up another story surrounding it, saying that property tax is to be dedicated to local government, as if local government wasn't existing before this assumed or to be implemented tax. But more than that, one cannot, from a psychological perspective, deviate or empty one's memory of the most callous, the most deceptive, the most reckless, the most brutal statement. And it is so because of how crucial the industry that was being subjected to that level of hoodwinking, that level of deception, that level of unadulterated lies. You cannot tell me that you have so easily emptied your minds or your memory, because it will be impossible so to do, in my view, unless your agenda is one that loves punishment and is vulnerable to that level of hogwash diatribe and unrelenting attempts to deceive by the Rowley, Stuart Young, Penelope Beckles, PNM administration, when we were told that if you're closing the fridge, the government is not closing down Petrotrin. You can't forget that. And then they proceeded, of course, to close down Petrotrin. And the use of semantics telling us, up to today, they are telling us that they never closed down Petrotrin. What they did, in their view, was restructured, part and parcel of their track record, part and parcel of their modus operandi to lie and deceive, and then, of course, formulate phantasmagorical stories around the same thing for you to doubt that they said what they said, even though in every morsel, every word, every sentence, and your common sense will tell you, but no, they are taking us for asses or fools. They told us that they were not closing down Petrotrin, but proceeded in effect to do so, and telling us that we restructure because we have heritage and we have, of course, the legacy, the legacy issues, the very 800 million, the 80 million US dollars that was supposed to be that bullet payment, 80 million. And that is why they had to do what they did. And then target, of course, the oil refinery. And then proceeded, of course, to displace the workers. And then tell them afterwards that, listen, we're going to give all your land. And we're going to treat you all nicely. But before that, in order to convince you and I, they then say that a janitor, a person who serves tea, or is a male person, a male delivery person, getting such a exorbitant amount of money in an industry that clearly is considered to be, and that by itself will let you know that is its main operational dynamics and its main purpose and its main commodity is considered to be black gold. Black gold, oil, black gold. But because you may be getting in an office in Port of Spain, maybe at $2,000 or $3,000, they may be getting $5,000. They bring that and all to try to justify a nefarious act that even to today we are reeling from. And I want to tell you that the deception will continue. It is continuing in the context of being silent, because silent, as some people say, is not just golden, but it is also consent. But silent has another dimension. If you remain silent, you don't know what position a person may take on a particular topic. And that is what Penelope Beckles and they are trying to tell us today. Silent in the context here in specificity is when, of course, trying to focus and deflect our attention to what they consider to be poor decision making. They consider to be poor decision making on the part of the present government, URP, CPEP, etc. So as to emotionally incite and to, at the same time, deflect attention away from the evil that they delivered to the people of Trinidad and Tobago unnecessarily. Unnecessarily. And I dare say only to line their respective pockets, friends, family, cohorts, acquaintances, and those connected to the people. So much so that they have coined, as a result of those actions by the PNM, a new definition for what? For political patronage. You see, because political patronage, the PNM style, is that those who are connected to the party and they prefer, and rather all political appointments, which of course is a rational and common practice and is established in the Westminster democratic system that we have inherited from and emulate from, of course, whether it be the United Kingdom or the United States. That is part of it. But political patronage at the expense of everybody else, or put another way, without involving those who are not PNM, in other words, and for whom any government put in office, apart from the political offices that requires political appointments, the rest of it, the 1.3 or 1.5 million people that requires service, minus that small group that will be the beneficiary of political patronage, because that is part of the system. I'm not going to waste time with that. I'm not even defending anybody on that, whether it's the PNM or whether, of course, it's the present government, because that is part of the system. That is part of the system. And why is it so? It's very simple. At the end of 5 years, the government or the party in government has to account for what it would have done, and especially when it is seeking another term. Let's go to the line. Pleasant good night. Welcome to the corridor. Are you hearing me loud and clear?
Sure, Lennox. There's the Martin inside.
Yes, man.
Very, very clear. And
thank you.
I want to publicly thank the Americans for outfitting the BTM, I believe the Learning Center.
Yes, the Excel school there, yes.
With a number of laptops.
Yes.
And they in sync with the ideology of our current government.
Yes.
No child should be left behind.
That's right.
Every child in Trinidad should be given an opportunity.
That's right.
You have to understand how all of those PNM trolls and supporters of the PNM should be hide their head in sand now. Bundles, Rowley, and the rest of them couldn't see that. An outsider have to come forward and outfit that BTM, and I'm so happy that we're giving those kids a chance. But more importantly, we have to be very, very careful that none of those computers go to Marcel, go to Fitzy, or go to Balmati. Balmati and no maths. The Alsing don't know what is Microsoft Word and not how it works. And Marcel need that to win a case like Chubby's, as they say. So those are something I would continue to throw on the chest of all the PNM, because they have put us in this place. And a lot of positive things are happening, because I listened attentively to the junior minister in the energy ministry on one of the talk shows today. And he gave an insight as to where we are going. 26, 27. He is very, very optimistic. So it looked like we are on the right track. I'm not too sure what was the strategy for proroguing Parliament, but I'd like to hear your take on it. Was it done to bring back the Zoso bill? Because that is an important bill, else we're going to have some heinous criminal acts. Is it time to grease the gallows? Look what happened to that little child in Tobago. I mean to say, the PNM, I care about that. I saw an activity by school children from Shagona North, Shagona South, where a school child, was mercilessly beaten and almost run over by a car. It is staggering, and bundles should come forward and identify the PNM parents that are responsible for that, because remember you tell us that, eh?
Yes.
Which parents and their PNM supporters. So she can help the cause by presenting a list of names for the TTPS and the Ministry of Education to counsel these children. Go on, Lennox.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Well, I want to tell you. I want to tell you off the cuff. While you were talking, I was looking for you to see, because I am not aware that the Parliament has been prorogued, or have been. I don't know what's because proroguing has a very specific term. I think it would have gone for recess. I don't know. So I would have to do some work on it. I'm not seeing it here having Googled it. But I will not therefore venture into something that I am not aware of. So I want to say that. However, I take note of the fact that the Americans have, of course, provided some laptops, etc., to the Excel school in the Beetham, at the entrance of the Beetham. In fact, where if you're entering from the western side, the eastern side obviously will have a different entrance. It will be from phase 4 and 5 side. But of course, that phase that the school itself is located is called phase 1. And then, of course, you go further east, and you have phase 2, and then phase 3, and then phase 4, and then up to phase 5, which is, of course, juxtaposed or in close proximity to the Fernandez Industrial Center or complex. Just to give you a geographic understanding as to the location and in relation to the cardinal points. That being as it may, yes, I was making the point, and of course the caller did in fact reinforce what I was saying, that the level of deception that we were subjected to, and of course you heard him said that the Minister of Energy, the junior minister, has of course outlaid the plan for the energy sector, and that is just that, because I have a copy of the IMF report as well. Yes, we're not making joke. We cannot afford to make joke, because there are those who believe that acquiring government is a jokey mission, and that they having acquired it, they have no obligation in real terms to the development of the country except for their own survival, and of course lining their respective pockets, as I said, friends, family, acquaintances, through of course nepotism, cronyism, and all of the isms that suggest a sort of a self-serving agenda. We must not be brainwashed or in any way lured by these deceivers, who of course will spare nothing to say things. And let me tell you, it now starts. Let me warn you, it now starts. But every time they come with these phantasmagorical stories, like the reason they are trying to implant in your heads that because they cause or directly sent, because Marcel is involved and so on in the second one, complaints to the procurement regulator about a particular project, that you must automatically believe, because that is how they will do it on their podium and their platform, and the level of cacophonous babblings that we see almost on a daily basis. They will not relent. It will get more and more phantasmagorical. In other words, the stories will get so elaborate and so complex. At times you will want to know if its people have the capacity to regularly, with a very fertile imagination, based on lies and deception and intent, so to project and produce. And don't tell me I just told you about the question of if you're closing your door, you're not closing down Petrotrin. But I want to tell you how they got into office in 2015. We cannot afford these people to be concocting and manufacturing these elaborate lies to get into office. And of course, I'm talking about Emailgate. Emailgate. Let's go to the line. A pleasant good night to welcome to the corridor.
A pleasant good night to you, Uncle Lennox, and to all your listeners.
A pleasant good night to you as well, my friend.
Share the life, east, west, north, and south. All you listen to Uncle Lennox. And hear what he's saying. But he gone back quite last year. But I want to tell him, this last 6 weeks, Carrie Marcel bring a bill in the parliament to pilot it. That the supporters are suffering and the unemployed, and the reach the point of hungriness. And just imagine, he abandoned the bill. He didn't stay and see it go debate it right through.
But that's what they do. That's what they do, and they learn from, of course, the older, seasoned deceivers, which is, of course, we can point out Rowley, we can point out, of course, Innsmouth and so on. They have these theatrics and these histrionics that they perform from time to time as if they're in Bollywood or Hollywood, and believe that people in Trinidad are so damn stupid that on every occasion they will, of course, fall for that. You could fool me once, probably a second time, but certainly not the multiple times that these people are so engaged, so much so that anything they say you need to take with a ton load, or should I say a truckload, or a beach load of salt. Go ahead, my friend.
Yes, Uncle, and you know, because you are a praying person and you have the precious brother Jesus cover you. But you see, the PNM from Herculean time is called with do Obia and had them understand. Because, for example, when Rowley brings 7 dead people in our boat, they intercept it. They bring a next 14 again, they intercept it. Then, by God's grace, then he go on and he bring a king to say to do the Obia, to bring the Obia for him to have the people in bondage, the lost election. Because since 1953, coming up the road, Eric William has been fooling the supporters. And you can see when they do the witchcraft and they do the press, they just fool them easy. Because just imagine, Rowley set up old talk, and they laugh at that and they forget the suffering and they vote for the PNM. Because just imagine, Rowley is the only man in a vehicle. When rain falling, he come out to shelter. He come out of a vehicle and shelter under a tree and hear a radio station playing. And them laugh and they clap for that. And that is the divestment of the economy. And that's what they get. But you see, when you come out here now and you're telling them, you see, the truth is hurt. And they doesn't want to believe that the position the PNM had them in, right, is the leader, because they wholly, heartedly, and spiritually follow them for, as they say, that is the truth and the whole truth, and they'll get betterment. You see, when they get a little food can, a little quick fix, they're happy with that. That is just the crumbs. That is the dust. That's not the crumbs. And they're happy. And then Rowley get to realize he can take away the dust of them and suffer them, and they'll still love them. But that's why they end up with only 13 seats. And we still questioning them 13 seats. Because India, all of them on record saying that they neglect the same supporters. And now they come out to tell the same supporters that don't go and look for betterment, because the other party now fighting to that nail and giving them a better life and trying to build back the economy, will end up in their leaders and the member of parliament pocket. The whole treasury end up in their pocket, and they see that. So, and what the supporters get? And now they're coming to make mischief, to tap every single thing, to delay it, as you said last night. So it will look, you said last night that when they tied up all the procurement and all the jobs, right, is to make it look and say, see, they give it all nothing, they give it nothing. But lie by child, lie by. The PNM propaganda machine could go as far as it could. But if the supporters choose to continue going that road and follow them, then I really see they really have no direction, because the breakdown in society, you can see, plain to see, is the PNM. And what encourages this kind of nastiness, because when the Prime Minister, the Honorable Ms. Kamala Prasad Bisesa, say, when they do crimes like mischief like that and fight like that in the public, they must be charged. just like an adult, for the fight. But you see, the PNM now want to defend that kind of mischief so that they can disrupt the education system to keep the voter base intact. So when they get fear in school, try and drop out and become adults. So that's the PNM all over. So Uncle Lennox, that was a good night to you. If I can give you some hard talk again, but
No
I will
problem.
tell you,
No problem.
we're going for the oil and gas.
Yes, man. All right then. Thanks very much. Thanks very much. And since he mentioned the whole question of that, I think the caller before as well did that in terms of that. What I consider to be not just disquieting, there must be a much more forceful word than disquiet. Disturbing. I think it's more barbaric. And I'm referring, of course, to that video that went viral of those school boys kicking up another school boy. And I made some observations. I have a copy of it. I wouldn't show it tonight. I'll do that next week. But I made an observation that I want to share with you. But let's go to the line. A pleasant good night to welcome to the corridor.
Good night to you, Brother Lennox.
Good night to you as well, my friend.
Yeah. I was talking to the girl from Valencia, and she, who the school now,
Yes,
who we
yes.
talk about. And she was telling me that school only has some real bright children in it. So I say, I have to ask you, how close that school is to you?
Which school is that?
The Girls High School in Laventille there.
Oh, you mean the Excel? The
primary school, yeah.
Primary school, where there are several primary schools, so I want to know which. Oh, the girls. Yes.
The girls.
Yeah, they do well. They do well academically. I mean, there's always room for improvement, but they do well. Yes, just as Nelson Street as well, which is further to the bottom, more to South Key, and opposite HGC headquarters. Well, they do pretty well as well. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so she was telling me that today now.
Yes.
So after, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
well, my son attends the boys' school, which is, of course, George Street is a south to north school. A south to north street. And so you get to the boys' school before you get to the girls' school, but they are adjacent to each other. They are neighbors, in other words. Just a wall separate them. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, but so Joshua, all right.
Yes. So he is there. Well, he is making strides, but I think because of his ambitious nature, let me put it that way, and engage in extracurricular activities, such as he just invited, of course, the commissioner of police to come and speak, not just to the school this time, but to the general neighborhood. And there are certain elements within the school are saying that he's too ambitious. I don't know why.
Like father, like
for a community like this, in a school that is nestled inside of it, and before you encourage, in other words, you are looking to, I don't want to use the word stymied because it may convey an impression that may victimize the young man. But I'm saying it is something that should be encouraged rather than, of course, attempting to cause a sort of reduction in that kind of activity on the volition of the individual. The school didn't make any play, but it's something that is positive for the school and the community. And one would expect that a school will be behind. The teachers and the administrators will be behind. But I was surprised that there is a little static, which of course I will make an intervention to try to address, because God knows the community needs that kind of intervention. Go ahead, my friend.
Yeah, but the whole idea behind that is to stigmatize the community now.
Of course, anybody with a modicum of common sense. I started by saying businesses are reeling. They are closing down. The profitability is not viable. And And if you
Yes,
have
yes.
people coming back into the community because of these kinds of initiatives, why not?
Yeah.
Why not? I find it, I'm ashamed really that there could be
No,
any
well,
kind of
well,
pushback to that.
you see, the idea is wanting to win so much and keep the people down in that area, whilst they could keep their pocket fat.
That's
They
right.
don't
Some
care about
people
the community.
benefit from that. Some people benefit
Correct.
from the downtrodden nature and the poverty and the impecuniary, lack of money scenarios that these communities usually express in their daily
Yes.
lives. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, because what I realize and I gather from the IMF now is that the unemployment situation is already bad in Trinidad. It seems to be getting better, although that they are saying so many of the CPEC workers not working. Like
Yeah.
it do have really a effect, because if you really check it over, it doesn't find no set of people workers walking up and down the streets and holding their head and bawling for employment, that they have nothing and they have that. It's only that coming from the PNM the situation that Marcel and them talking about the people unemployed. Like Marcel them unemployed more than the people. I really understand that.
And their salaries are secured. Their salaries
Yes.
are secured, and what
Yeah.
they do, they hype and they agitate, and they sensationalize. Why? Because they want to be where the government is today, but without working for it. And we must say, as a population and as a collective, we will have none of it. None of it.
Correct.
There are those who are saying too that we shouldn't be talking about them. Haul all your tail, all you feel people stupid. That kind of talk is a PNM narrative. Don't talk about
Correct.
the PNM. We will damn well talk about the PNM. I wanted to say that
stop.
bad on the radio this morning, but because of where I am, I couldn't. But I can say it here. We will damn well
Yes.
talk about the PNM because they
Yes.
are the bane,
Yeah.
the harm, the strain, and the retrogression of Trinidad and Tobago. Go ahead.
Yeah, but something I find funny, right?
Yes.
Now, let me say what this man from Moruga go with the procurement legislation, right?
Yes,
Now,
activists,
if they-
activists. But Marcel is involved.
Activists.
Yeah.
Right, but how this activist could come and tell you to investigate something? Is this activist some contractor that was denied some sort of a contract, and he realized that he had his thing right, and he come and put in his papers, and then they refuse him of giving him a contract, and his own was lower than somebody else, and things like is that thing just so?
It has
he could
none
just
of
come out
those,
and
none of those practical and common sense development that one would logically believe will trigger such an inquiry. It is for pure political reasons. I could say that categorically. And what they are attempting to do is weaponize the procurement regulatory body against the present government. But let me say this one time. We here, meaning a team of us from different organizations, MLIO, Mobile Lavantil Improvement Organization, Lavantil for Lavantillians, Ad Hoc Committee for the Eradication of Crime in Lavantil. Listen to the composition of the various organizations in terms of where they are focused. And of course, we have the Shouter Baptist Learning Institute and a number of other institutions have decided to write, and maybe I might read it on the program tomorrow, write the procurement regulator saying, listen, we are satisfied that the opposition in the country, opposition to the government, is attempting to weaponize you, to use you, to manipulate you, your office, to pursue their own agenda. And while, of course, we are not averse, we are not against the people projecting legitimate causes in order to, of course, find out, because that is your job. What we want at minimum is that, one, when such a situation develops, that you outrightly dismiss it, and secondly, all such allegations be dismissed, or should I say, be dealt with expeditiously in a quick time, because what is the result, or what is the outcome, or what is the negative? The negative of that is that projects will be held back. We're talking about billions of dollars, hundreds, if not thousands of homes, and most importantly, thousands of jobs for sure will be in jeopardy if you succumb, if you are lured, if you are deceived by such a public display that are not genuinely complaints to be forwarded to you, but it is as a result of an agenda that has political connotations. There is where we are going. So we are warning the procurement regulation or regulators and the tribunal that usually sits on that to, at minimum, expedite. We're not preventing anybody from making complaints. But, and as you rightly said, yes, that individual has a right as well as an activist or whatever it is, just as how we have a right to also counter and say, examine the horns, because they may not well be genuinely concerned about the matter, but will be stymieing and, of course, jeopardizing thousands of workers who should be working, thousands of potential home owners from getting their homes, and three, of course, is to delay the government's agenda because they want to be where the government is ultimately. Go ahead, my friend.
Yeah, but what I have to say on that, how can the procurement regulator can't see these things for themselves? What are their job? How they waiting on somebody else to point on something for themselves? If something is so glaring, and they shouldn't wait on somebody else to point it out. They should have some mechanism in place to know if it's wrong or right. Because this is not my job to call them out and say, well, this going so, or they going so. You have to be inside it. You're supposed to know if what the government doing is wrong or right, and you deal with the matter. Why are you waiting on an activist to call in for?
Well, that is the way the thing is structured. It's just like a court. A person can make a scurrilous, non-real accusations about you, and get the whole court system to act in their favor in terms of ventilating it before the court. But at the end of the day, you know that will fail. But there's a process. There's a process. So the court cannot, just as the procurement regulation system, the court cannot go behind and say, but listen, I feel that this is so. No. When it comes before them, they would see that and then they move on. And of course, it becomes precedent. But go ahead.
Yeah, because this is just stalling the process, as you rightly say, for people jobs, because you know that people need jobs, right? And you having somebody calling and say, and you stopping the process when people could have been working, right? Because look at, they want to give the police more foot on the ground. That is employment too.
That's right. And mind you, the constituencies that require these jobs the most are these very people who are making this mischief. So here what people examine the horns and see how evil these people are. Even that and all, they're trying to prevent all from getting, in order for them to look politically, what I consider to be pristine, politically sanitized. Look at that. Let us get on with the job of providing jobs, homes, and in the instance case, you know, the state ain't putting out any money, so you can't say, well, look, you give a contractor $1 million up front, as the case may be. It ain't had that. The,
Correct.
the contractor has to find his or her own money. All the state is doing is providing the land where they wish to have these homes developed, and after that, after it is sold on the market value, no subsidized thing. The contractor has now to pay the state, the government, you and I, taxpayers, for the land that was made available to them to construct these homes which they sold, and of course as a result get a profit and participated in, but at the same time the coffers get something back as well. Different from any other initiative where the government keeps putting out the money all the time. Even in the PPP arrangement under the PNM,
correct.
The state, you and I, have to pay ultimately. Look at the headquarters, which is the last project that the PNM did under that arrangement, public-private partnership. What they did, they give NH International the land. I talk about prime land that is opposite the Savannah, opposite the Memorial Park, obliquely. Give them it. They then take the land, having invested in a company that they created for that purpose, and go to the bank and get the money. And then when the construction is complete, you and I had to pay for the full thing, the whole thing. But in this case, you have a situation where the state give the land, but the people get their own money, and they invest in the land. They invest in the land in the company so that they could go and get money. No, the land remain in the name and in the authority and in the ownership of the state, and is owned. And after all is said and done, they find the money. They get the land, yes, but they find the money to construct the homes, and then after that, they still have to pay out of the money that they would have got for the sale of these completed houses. They give a portion of it to the state. What more than that you want? The PNM is mortally afraid that this government will never again be out of government. Never again. That is why I speak of 2060 and 2090. By that time, the PNM should be relegated to the dustbin of political history in this country. Go ahead.
And it have to start in the local election.
Yes.
We must now leave them. Take Potterstone, take San Fernando, take Arima, anyway they go Martin, all about, and push them out of office. Then we send them in the Gulf of Paria, and that will be the end where the PNM need.
Send them to history. History books.
Let it come like the oil slick was going to Venezuela and deal with Delcy Rodriguez on that side.
Yes.
Thank you for this information, Mr. Smith.
Yes,
very good information.
Thank you very much. The pleasure was mine. That is my job, man, to make certain that we have clarity, and that you will not be hoodwinked, fooled, deceived, and taken for asses. Because that is what the PNM ethos in terms of their propaganda machinery. I mean, come on. Why are you trying to stop progress? Why? To the benefit of the small man. You now complain that 30,000 jobs, exaggeration of course, is more like if half of that is plenty. But let's assume it's 30,000. 30,000 jobs was taken away, say, through CPEP and so on and so on. Why are you trying to stop more than 30,000 jobs? And your constituencies are going to be the beneficiary of that, because most of the labor and the carpenters and the skills people will come from there, in addition to other parts of the country. How come you're rallying as a patriot, PNM? How come? A pleasant good night. Welcome to the corridor.
Yeah, this is San Fernando here.
Yes, man. Go ahead. Loud and clear. Loud and clear. Loud and clear.
I listened to the topic tonight again too, and it's just basic common sense. The PNM is just trying to slow up the whole process, and they're not allowing progress to happen. It's just that. It's just that.
If they can, if they can, if they
Yeah.
can, yeah. In spite of all of their shenanigans. Go ahead, yes.
You know, but I want to look at it. No, I want to look at not just the procurement thing, but I want to look at a different scenario here because well, not different in terms of but how should I say? If you I'm trying to make some comparisons, right? Why is it that Lavantil has remained a depressed, so much of a depressed area, and when you look at areas like down, if you come down Davy, right? That whole street is open for business. Chavonas is open for business, right? And it's like Lavantil, which is in the main part of where the money coming from, central bank remaining in that kind of state. So, and when you compare one part of Port of Spain, one part of Port of Spain, bright, but Lavantil still, you know, according to you, if you have the will, you know, you might have empty treasury in Lavantil.
Oh yes, I still have that notion, even though it is not practical or pragmatic, but I still have that notion. Nobody could vex with me for saying that because of the level of confidence I have of the transformative potential that area has. That is what I'm really saying.
No, the reason for me going down that road is when you look at the procurement legislation that is in being right now,
Yes.
thing right now, you can clearly see that the PNM is keeping down this thing, you know.
Of course, they weaponize. They have vicariously weaponized the procurement regulation process. That's what they have done.
Mm-hmm.
They saw it as another cog in their nefarious propaganda agenda to stymie and to malign in their own, what I consider a futile way, the present government. Go ahead.
No. I taught a class down, well, not one, but I work with community development already. And I taught a class down Monkey Town, that's where the Monkey Town Primary School is there, around that area. And I couldn't believe that whole stretch is open up for business because when I taught there years ago, right, the women in the class did like a barbecue. And boy, that thing is so amazing as to see that the people in this area could come out and really do and have a kind of, you know, a unity amongst them.
Yeah.
But we're not getting that unity yet from these areas like where you are there. We're not really getting that. So the people's eyes really are open as yet. If you follow where I'm coming from?
Yes. I'll respond when you're finished. I'll respond because that's a very valid point that you're raising.
So that again, it comes back to they just like somehow or the other, like the PNM car, they can't see 10 years from now. The moat still in the eyes. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And to me, if you want to go forward, you first have to remove the moat out of your eye, and then you know try to get people to see.
Yeah.
But they're not doing that for the people of Lavender. They're not doing it. And surrounding areas like where they come, even San Fernando here, there are areas in San Fernando here where sometimes when you pass through, you feel depressed.
Mm-hmm.
The line in Marbella was like that for a long time, even under Sadiq Baksh, before Sadiq Baksh and them took office. The line in Marbella was a depressed area before Sadiq Baksh and them came in. It was depressed, and in some areas it still is. You understand? So, you know, and what we're trying to do for the entire country is to get people to come out of the menace of poverty. and we're not seeing it. I mean, not that all of us not seeing it, but the PNM themselves, they are not seeing it. They just like they have people in a mode that is stuck. Like you glue them down in a certain.
Yeah, but I like to use the term paradigm paralysis. Yeah, they are in a paradigm paralysis. Paradigm means, of course, you are tempted to make a change, but you're just paralyzed. You can't move.
You're stuck.
Yeah, you're stuck. You're stuck in that what I consider to be where you call a vortex. In that vortex, yes, in that vacuum. Yeah.
Because I think it was last week I had asked, last week or week before, I had asked the question, what the young people, asking them tonight again, right? I'm saying this to all the young people outside there who want to turn to a life of crime and criminality. What do you want to see? How would you see yourself 5 years from now? Right? And then compare that to something that is, let's say, like, okay, like you have another person who has an attitude of, where do I want to see myself? I want to see myself next 5 years with something, having something, two different scenarios. If you understand where I'm coming from.
Yeah. Have a vision, and of course, where you could be at a certain point in time, and what are the building blocks to get there. And one assumes that every human being like to be in a place where they are comfortable, where they are satisfied, where their basic needs, food, shelter, clothing, entertainment, is satisfied, and they are comfortable rather than having to irk out on a daily basis. That is, of course, unsustainable one, but it is too what I consider to be inconsistent to be something on which you can rely upon.
Yeah, so this is what I want in young people. I want them to seek to push for something in more in life than just a life of crime and criminality.
Yes.
And forget the PNM, because the PNM is only creating that kind of mischief. Now we looking at the procurement thing, and you can clearly see from this that they don't want that progress. They don't want these people to progress.
Exactly. All right. Thanks very much.
So, all right. Okay. All right.
Thanks very much. I was a bit. I had to hasten because the gist of what the caller has said, I mean, resonates with all of us. But in the case that it slips me, I didn't want it to slip. So therefore, I want to speak directly, of course, to the Laventils and, of course, to those PNM-based constituencies along the East-West corridor in particular. And I will share with you a scenario that is consistent with what we are discussing here, where the PNM has this propensity to keep people down when there is potential progress, because they want to dictate the pace in order to extract as much political fodder, political currency as they can. And therefore, there is this dependency projection that they manifest when in government, and in this case, out of government. But let's go to the line. A pleasant good night. Welcome.
Good night to the Honorable Mr. Lennox Smith.
Good night to you, my friend.
Good night to the Corridor of Transformation. Good night to all the viewers on the World Wide Web. You know, we have to say it right now because we must get it correct. And you know, good night to the Honorable leader of Laventil Outreach for Vertical Enrichment. Love the rocket. You know, as when we say the rocket, the man himself, Mr. Elon Musk, I tell you, he will come and take that rocket from you and give you $1 billion US for that, you know.
I hear you. I hear you. I love your optimism and I love your introduction. It's simply because
No,
I mean I relish it because it speaks to me, and whether you see me selfish or not, I think I mean that kind of flattery will get you everywhere. Go ahead.
well, over the years, I always say the brother always listened to the voice of the people, because a great lady said at one point in time that the voice of the people is God. And the disease were in your constituency there, down right not a stone throw from George Street there, where Mr. Matanga Daga had his office.
Yeah, Makandal Daga. Yeah, right the head of George Street here. Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yes, may his soul rest in peace, but his legacy lived on because he's a real freedom fighter. And over the years, he have opened the eyes of the people, and people in downtown Port of Spain, they ready to they listen and move forward, because for years, people carrying them all over. Now we have the rocket on stream. And I tell you, everybody want to go to that rocket to move forward into the future for better dimension. I was listening this evening there, and I seen that the people given the clearance that it has some serious thing with the commissioner also, that they say they're going to start charge these officers. I don't know where it's swinging at, but this place is really something else, Mr. Lennox, you saw it, I saw it, 1.3 million people in Trinidad saw it, and the whole world. Those persons they didn't do nothing. They just surrender and give up, raise up their hand, right? We don't know how they're twisting this thing about, because apparently they want to leave this lady not to talk and say anything to delay this matter more and more. But I will leave it right there, because I've seen that it have prejudice in it.
Yeah.
But God don't sleep, as
of
you
course,
always tell me. Yeah, you say the longest twine have an end.
That's right.
Yes, and Mr. Lennox, I wanted, I touched base with other things too. The beating of this little school boy today, oh gosh, man. Well, we see that the police officers and them step in, and the immediate definite suspension taking place. I mean, this somebody had to be held accountable. They get this little boy. Thank God he didn't die, because I heard pitbull this morning. He was emotional.
The car is a good thing. They alerted the driver of the car that it actually bounced him on the ground, because the driver couldn't see. He was, of course, in the jaws of the thing, and as soon as it dissipated and the street was cleared according to his vision, he couldn't see the boy, just below the bonnet there, and he drove. His people alerted him and said, listen, the boy there, and then they had to take him up, lift him up and carry him, I'm sure, for medical treatment.
Yeah, the schoolgirl bawling, yes, and telling the man, pointing, and that is how he stopped, because it was Lord Father with his place.
But let me tell you this. Let me tell you what I observe as well. I said earlier, I'll say it, so I'll better say it now that you have raised it. What I've observed, that if that incident was in Shogunas and possibly a Shogunas school, I have not recognized the uniform, and I have not been told. But of course, in the case of Port of Spain, we know it was Tranquility. But what I observed is that I have not seen, in other words, an Indian, and the incident happened in Shogunas. You know what I'm saying? In other words, I'm saying that it's only Africans I've seen there engaging in that. And you know what that incident reminds me of? When that young man somewhere right here in Charlotte Street, that is in the back of me, the next street after George Street, going west, is Charlotte Street, where a young boy, the kick, the action, when an elderly lady was pulled to the ground, and she was kicked in that way by a tall young man, looking just like the ones that did what was done there. And that brought back some emotional and some harrowing and some vision as to where we are heading with that kind of conduct. Where we are heading. These are future leaders. These are the future bankers, the future police officers, the future soldiers, and we can go on and on. Go ahead.
No, what I say, I saw it. This is why, especially in your street, the nation capital, everybody know, is downtown Port of Spain.
Yeah.
In your constituency, Mr. Lennox, let me tell you something. Long time, I think that, well, they say they're going to put more police officers in the street, right? Let them police officers and then patrol around and put up more CCTV cameras around the place. Look in China, if something, because Mr. Faiz from Tunapuna tell me, right? Because I just talked to him.
Yeah.
He tell me in China come very, very nice. Mr. Cheng Ping is a boss, boy. I think that Mr. Trump, good soldier. See, he went by him, yes.
Last week, yes.
And, yeah. Here, if a crime took place, Mr. Faiz tell me, he said, if a crime only take place one time, you can see it have digital cameras all over and it just transferring over and quick, and no for now they apprehend that person. You know?
Yeah, somebody told me about that. I've not read in my own, should I say, learnings in criminology. I have not looked in detail as to the Chinese situation, because simply, frankly, they are not a democracy, and maybe you could get away with that there, just as how we could get away with it in Cuba right now, etc. But in a democracy, it's a different kettle of fish. And maybe the one that we have to look at really is Great Britain. How generally police officers don't carry guns. They still don't, generally speaking. But of course, their crime situation is under control. And there must be factors that cause that to happen. And can we transplant those factors here in Trinidad to, of course, reduce? New York City, for example, 7 million people, much 300, 400, 500 times more than Trinidad in terms of geography and in terms of population, and less murders per year now, but at one time it was considered the murder capital of the world. Every 3 minutes, 2 or 3 murders. Now New York City is as quiet as a lamb, comparatively speaking.
No.
So there are ways and means of moving us to that level. Who, how, and all of that are discussions for the population. But I want to tell you, Lennox Smith, I've said it over and over, I am prepared to use my expertise free of charge to this government. I will never do it for the PNF. This government,
Mr. Lennox,
to do what I know that they have not yet done.
Right?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yes, sir. With your intelligence, right, and collaborating with the network, because we have a connection with the Homeland Security aboard, right? And they have high intelligence. We could get this crime working under control.
Of course, where I sit, I'm telling you, give me 3 years, if not less, and that could be solved. Once you solve the Laventil question, you solve these blue-collar crime scenarios that has gripped the country. But of course, there are certain other variables that you have to put. I have argued, for example, why the hell you are emptying Port of Spain of the residents and transplanting them elsewhere in the country, when you know that they depended on Port of Spain in order to live, and if they're not working, etc., and you transplanted these elements that are doing the home invasion, etc., then it means, therefore, wherever they are, those places will now become victims. And I said that from the perspective that look at how Maloney and La Hakata became, because Laventil was transplanted to these communities, and Arima became a victim
Mr. Lennox,
of the unleashing of these elements. Go ahead.
Yeah, I want to say good night to the TTPS, because earlier on today, right here up here in the area of Remind Demarara Road, right? That had a live home invasion was taking place. And the other persons across with their cameras, like they see these four fellas ducking and going in the bush. They went and hold up the Venezuelan lady. She locked the door. They break down the door, go inside. Well, the law enforcement and them respond in time. That is performance. I want to say good night to them, TTPS. They apprehend all those criminals. I see this evening the commissioner, Mr. Ponisha, telling them, he warning them, asking the families of these perpetrators, who is the husband, the son, the boyfriend, all they surrender, because the law enforcement will have to defend themselves from these criminal elements, because they're armed and dangerous, right? So this is a serious thing, and it's not only today alone. Today alone have how much home invasion all in South. I watching it on Ian Allen page. This is a serious thing, boy.
And the point I am... go ahead, finish. I don't want to interrupt your thought.
Yeah, the thing is, no government could stop this. To blame, right? But they could stop it. And I think the Punisher is going to get serious. He's going to build a team, and they're going to regret that they turned their life into crime. Stop it, repent, and walk away from all the evil, wicked ways before it's too late. Good night, my brother.
Thank you very much. But your last statement, I want to tell you, we've been there before. We've been there before. You see, these elements will outlast the police commissioner. He will be out of office, and the scenario will continue. We have heard commissioners before say the same thing. So I don't want to indicate that your optimism is misplaced. But a man who is doing the same thing over and over, or put another way, one who does not learn from his past is doomed to repeat it. So we have heard those, what I can say, belligerent and bellicose language before. We had a commissioner calling people cockroach and so on. But what has happened? So the solution cannot be a police solution. That's the point I am making. And to conclude what I said earlier with respect, of course, to the migration or the emptying of communities like these and displacing them or transplanting them into other communities, they will continue to live off of those communities, because that is how predatorial animals conduct themselves. I'm not calling the humans animal. I'm just saying predatorial animals. That's how they conduct themselves. Wherever they are, they will look and seek the meat and, of course, pounce on it. So one of the things you ought not to do, as I told them, do not transplant these people. Leave them there and engage in a process of containment. Containment is the name of the game. Containment. That is what you should do with your housing program, where these communities are concerned. Stay right there, let them build, and of course you are able to contain them, and therefore you could generate the transformation that is required through programs, etc., and initiative. But that kind of myopia will produce what we are seeing today. A pleasant good night, my friend. Welcome.
Good night to you, Lennox Smith.
Yes,
and good night to all the listeners and viewers of the Corridor Transformation. Good night to all of you on the chat. And I agree with you, Lennox Smith. You need to fix community. You need to take out the poison from communities rather than spread the poison into other communities.
It's a madness. It's madness. I've been saying that for years. Do not do that. Do not do it. I'm going to give some other instances so you'll understand where I'm coming from. But go ahead, my friend. Thank you very much for your
You know what? Many of the crimes that have done in South areas is young guys come from the PNM constituencies and them.
Showing you that.
The vulnerable constituencies that get HUC house.
That's right.
All down in South areas and things. And that is exactly what's happening. But Lennox Smith.
Go ahead.
And listeners of the corridor transformation, sometime in 2017-18, the Ministry of Health revealed a statistic that we have 1.4 million people in the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago, and 1 out of every 4 suffering from some mental issue. They also did a research which there was asking parents if they eat 3 square meals a day, and most of them, 99% in these Port of Spain areas, say they eat 1 lunch for the day, and sometimes it is dinner. So they skip breakfast, they skip lunch, and they had something to eat for dinner. Now remember, over 400,000 people suffering from some mental issue. Also in the schools, over 65% of the school population suffer from low self-esteem, anxiety, and depression. I want to tell the citizens of this country something. The police cannot do nothing about those crimes and them. You need to fix those problems of the citizens. You need to have less mental cases. You need to have less depression and anxiety and low self-esteem to fix those crime problems and to fix those children mental issues, what they're revealing in the public roads. That is the only way to fix that. Fix the school system. Fix the future of this country problem, and you will fix our country. That driver that is packed up in his car because the young boys and them was blocking the road, beating up an ex-boy. He didn't have the courtesy to come out and ask why, put your car in park, and say why are you doing this. It had a next one stand up and videotaping the whole thing and say I wanted to intervene, but you know how it is. What manner of people you all are? You didn't come out of your car, but you quickly looking to get out of there. You supposed to be arrested. That car driver supposed to be arrested. He's supposed to be detained. You didn't come out of your car when you realize the boy get bumped and assist him. You wait until they pull them out on the road and then you leave and you go on your way. You go on your blasted way home. You didn't stop and assist. What manner of people we have in this country? Lennox Smith and citizens of Trinidad and Tobago, if they don't fix that low self-esteem and that depression and that anxiety, we sure every year, if we have 65% of the school population, that is over 3/4 of the school population have problems. It's over, how much is it? About 15,000 children that leave school every year.
Yeah, they're about 13 to 15, yeah.
That is over 10,000 children leaving school with mental issues and problems. Do you believe that they can fix the crime? They can fix it if they pay attention. If they pay attention to the communities and them, which part these children and them from. If they introduce that social bills and they give the leaders and them like you in the community who know the problem, who have the qualification. Lennox Smith, you is not just an activist. You is a criminologist. You are ex-teacher. You are a knowledgeable person. All they have to do is to give the leaders, not the gang leaders, But the educational leaders who have the ideas and the expertise and the qualification to help assist in fixing the community, I see you get a budget. I see they give you a budget and they call you in and they say you being part of this organization, the Port Spain Development Organization. May I see you part of that? But every day we come and say the crime and the crime and the crime and the crime. Let me tell you something. You see when the PNM was in power and we was speaking, and you see when we said how the PNM in power, they must take responsibility for crime. What should I say now? What should I say now if when the PNM was power and I was saying the PNM must take responsibility for crime? The PNM not in power now. What should I say now? Should I lie or should I say the truth? Well, I want to say to the UNC government, you must take responsibility for what happened in the country now. You have a constitutional responsibility to fix the problems and give Lennox Smith and them the opportunity. A man saying I'm going to work for free to try to fix the problem. 3 months now, 4 months now. And that acknowledgement, not bouncing back and saying, yes, let's try something. We papa. Anyway, listeners and viewers of the Corridor Transformation, we will be in the ground report in the morning. And well, have a nice night. I just had to hold back what I say now. Well, have a nice night.
Thank you very much, my friend. I want to tell you for that scintillating, pragmatic intervention, go to the top of the class. Because there are some things that I would want to mention that many may not be aware, not even those in the upper echelons of the decision-making processes. No, in spite of the fact that my party is part of the coalition of interests, so I have an intrinsic responsibility because the outcome and the concerns would spread to me as well, because I would have influenced persons as well to, of course, change and to, of course, make certain that the present administration gets an opportunity to serve. So I have a commitment. A pleasant good night. Welcome to the corridor.
Good night. Good night.
Good night.
Good
night to you. Yes.
Good night. The reason why one of the guys didn't come out to assist or help or stop the fight is because you remember the guy who got beat up in the last fight?
Yes.
Yeah. How you call the
the alderman from Port Spain, the Port Spain alderman. Yes. I know that, but I think this caller, the last caller, was referring to when everything subsided. Remember, they left, and everybody left, disappeared, but the young man was on the ground. All right, he probably did not see the driver. Probably did not see him. Of course, he was alerted by bystanders, and then he stopped for them to remove. But I think what the caller is saying, he could have come out and offered, of course, probably to drop him to the hospital, as the case may be. I think that is where it is. Because there was no danger of similar to that which the alderman was subjected. All right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And the next point is PNM emphasis is not how to run the country, it's how to win election.
That's right. And that is bad.
And by taking these people from Davantil and Movan whatsoever and putting them in South, like Shogwanas where they go and they put one set of them in Shogwanas there, and then put some in Karuba.
It was all about house padding.
Yes.
That's what that was all about. House padding to the detriment of the country.
Yeah, but this is also, the emphasis is how to win election, and that is how to win election.
Yeah. Because the numbers is the name of the game.
It's the game. Yeah. So this is the problem that we have in this country.
And you see how intractable it seemed to be. I mean, you can't get a handle on it at all.
Yeah. But you had to do like in New York, how did Giuliani Jones what he did.
Yeah, you have what is called the broken glass, the broken window, system. Every little thing, you punks on them and make them understand who is in charge. And so, but in addition to that, you would have had some intervention by community activists and so on to, of course, placate and to reduce that avalanche that was the subject of extreme concern to all New Yorkers and, of course, America itself, because it too had a bad name as a consequence of what was happening by the seconds in New York. Just as how what is happening in Trinidad, people are being told not to come to invest, not to come to even have a holiday, not even to do a business deal. And that, to me, is a critical component, quite apart from the peace and security that we must, of course, insist upon for prosperity to prevail. Yeah.
We need to put some more emphasis in the crime.
Yeah.
Like, you're like, well, okay, well, let me say helicopter, it could be outdated to use. We need to get some more drones.
All of that, use the technology, but that's the crime part. But what you want is the prophylactic part to prevent people from getting into crime in the first place, so that you have an aversion for it. And that is a culturalization. That is cultural, what I consider to be re-engineering or engineering, so that it could be on a sustainable basis. Because if you have recidivism and you have new, every July, new entries into the crime fraternity, if you want to call that, then you're spinning top in mud. Yeah.
Yeah. But what happened is that the little black boy on the street, he cannot buy guns. Where he getting it from? He getting it from our source.
And that is why when the government speaks of all of government approach, I understand what they're saying, that all the ministries must get involved, national security, of course, and that will be subdivided into immigration and customs and of course at the airport, etc., and those persons who operate at the level of the transport. That is, I talk about sea transport, etc., which is a different Ministry of Works, I believe. But the fact is that. But if you really want to solve the problem, you cannot talk about an all of government approach. That is obvious. What you have to talk about is an all of community approach. I heard, of course, one of the ministers talking about responsible for national security, talking about an all of society approach. Not even that. That is still too broad. You have to have an all of community approach, because all these criminals come from a family, so? And every family lives somewhere, but in a community. So you have to get it from a micro level, and then you of course graduate to the national level, but making certain, because the role of the government is to facilitate, so the government must be able now to assist those at the community level, at the micro level, in order to intervene in a family where a young man may be going astray, where he would have reached of age, he just leaves school, and you see him liming with, of course, the elements that you would know, because you're in the community. You would know. You're living there. The police don't live there. The teachers don't live there. The priest doesn't live there. The army official doesn't live there. They come and do what they have to do and go. But if you are living there, you are able to make a timely and real-time intervention, including, of course, those persons who have Baptist churches, etc., that are inside of these communities. That is what we are talking about, operating at the micro level. And I have to, of course, talk in this way because I am part of the government, and I am prepared to work, because I too would have put my 2 pence to encouraging people to vote for the government, to come into office, to treat with these matters, And I will not be allowed, or I will not allow myself to be sidelined or to be excommunicated, or not, in other words, to take part in the process of transformation because of where I stand. This thing is an all of community approach. It cannot be all of society or all of government. That is too broad a terminology. The people in the communities will not understand that, but they will understand an all of community approach because they know each other. And every community doing that, it means therefore all of society, all of the society will benefit from that. Go ahead, my friend.
But what they're supposed to do is, see, from the school, you must know the children and them who cannot take their academic education, right? And this is where they're supposed to separate them and put them and let them write the little exam to go to youth camp, Chatham youth camp. Look at Chatham youth camp, they say they spend $1 million on that. And if I pass the other day and I watch that, they have bus right through.
Yeah. Well, you have what is called misappropriation of policies and programs and initiative, because we can go back to the asinine, well-intended, but at the end of the day, created some of the things that we are concerned with today. That is the half-day school, for example. How the hell that generation that went through that, they couldn't get up to go to work on time because we have a work ethics, or put another way, a work timing that says we start at 8 o'clock. But you sending children to school 12 o'clock in the day. Yeah. And those and those who went before, they have to get up for 4 o'clock in the morning. Yeah. And so that time clock you have dismantled. I could tell you, because remember, I had them, or the products of these youths that became parents. I had them, and I had products of the parents that went to this system. And guess what? When we send them to get a little job somewhere on the job training, long before, of course, the government decided to do on the job training, we were doing that. We brought in computers and all of that. We're the first organization that brought in recognizing the digital divide. And we started that back in 1991, thereabout. But that is not the point. The point I am making is that here it is, when we send them to work, the supervisors and them call us. They say, listen, Mr. Smith, we having a problem. Well, I say, well, it's a behavioral problem or something. But I didn't know it might have been behavioral, but not in the way that I expected. I thought it was violence. You know what they say? They say they're working good. They have good work ethics and so on, good interpersonal relationship. But guess what? They're always late.
Yes.
And when you ask them why they were late, it's because in their formative years, in the time when you're supposed to be conditioning them, for want of a better term, to prepare them for the work day hours, they had to get up 12 o'clock in the day. There was no need to get up for 8 o'clock.
No.
And so they couldn't get up to go to work for 8 o'clock.
Yeah.
Human beings are creatures of what? Of habit. And you have to.
Our time.
Yeah.
Remember in our time when we used to go to school, the elementary school.
Right.
If you should fail common entrance, you move to standard 6 and 7.
Or 7, yes. And then they give you a trade or something. Yeah, a trade or something,
yes. You will learn a trade.
And we brought back that in MLIO. In fact, I want to tell you that when we looked at the situation, because we started off in the common entrance era, and we saw that of the 9,000 that would have not found place in the system, I ain't saying that they failed. The system didn't find place for them. 7 to 900 of them came from Laventille alone. So what we did, we got to all of the businessmen, whether they're doing plumbing, whether they're doing electrical work, whether they're doing car straightening or painting, as the case may be, And we got them involved in the whole process. How we did that? We used to send them there. Send them there after they get theory and what is called affective qualities like discipline and behavioral, and of course preparing them psychologically for the world of work. We did all of that, and that is what I have to bring to the country. And I'm saying after a year, I ought to have been given a chance so to do. Ought to. I deserve a chance to be there to assist in this process, because they are scratching all over the place, and the solution is right there. Right there. Right there.
If you put them in the youth camp, when, like, let's say for example, a businessman should want his space, or the government need to refurnish a office or so. They could take these same trainees from the youth camp and carry them on the job and have a supervisor supervising them.
But that is what, sir, that is what we did at MLIO. At the end of their 6 months or the year, as the case may be, depending on how fast they learn, they graduate, but they must go on what was called on-the-job training. And that is why we got all of the businesses involved. So that right now we have some working at PTSC, we have some at on the wharf, we have some in the police service, we have some in the army. I'm very proud about this one. I always speak about it when I'm talking in that way. One guy even in the Air Force in the United Kingdom, we orchestrated that, and Marlon Blacks, the pace bowler, he came from the MLIO experience. Marlon Blacks, and we were the first let's say governmental but vocational skills training program to beat Fatima, beat CIC, and all of the other in cricket. So much so that the next season they said they don't want us. Right. But that was that. When you have a program like that is well thought out and can deliver the multiple prongs or the multiple grounds that is required, having regard to that, because it's some 11 skills they had to learn among themselves, and they would get they will get 2 for the price of 1. So if you are learning, for example, auto mechanic, you have to also learn straightening and painting. Right. But if you come for auto mechanic, we give you straightening and painting first. And if you like straightening and painting, we give you auto mechanic first. That is what we did. 2 for the price of 1. And boy, all you don't know what all you're missing. Give us a chance to show that we have the capacity, the ability, the track record to treat with that. Our record is clear. We are a registered school. The United Nations Development Program recognized MLIO. The Ministry of Finance knows MLIO as a charity, and therefore we can import our equipment, etc. All of that is to be put to the disposal of the political and the government directorate, and I am saying for free. Yes. Utilize us. I have to beg to be used. I have to beg to address this problem that I see as simple, and those who get in the payment for it, huge expenditure, billions of dollars, and it is intractable. Come on, people, it's about time.
And that will take these people out of the CPEP, the young people.
Of course.
Because they'll know how to trade.
No, but there is a component. The other day I met a young man, he has his own business. So there is an entrepreneurial component in it. And the plan was, because I was the one that of course brought the idea about the technology center that is there now, government funded. And what we were saying is that we would have used that to replace the program called MLIO, but use the MLIO concept And every single student that leaves that once you pass through there, they must join the credit union that would have been part and parcel of the whole process, so that when they're ready to start their own businesses, they have a source of capital. Oh gosh, all of that. We did that. All of that is there waiting to be unleashed onto the people, so that we get rid of this thing on a sustained basis once and for all. The East Waterspread Development Company, I would have thought by now, some progressive element would have been put inside of there, because I was the vice chairman at one time under the Pandey administration. And I always never saw it as an infrastructural development company, which it was turned into by the PNM. You see, because the regional corporations and the Ministry of Works and so on do those things, building drains, of course, recreational grounds, etc. What I would have converted that to do, because it's the only government funded in state enterprise, is a state enterprise of its kind, focusing on the Laventils and from, in fact, Charlotte Street to Mova in the east. And watch me, all I'm saying, they ain't getting much money at $10 million and so on. How much drains you go build with that? So what you do, inside of these communities, I hope somebody is listening, man. Inside of these communities, there are people who are doing yeoman service, whether it be football, whether it be training, whether it be kindergarten, or whether it be culture, etc. Whatever, steel pan, etc. What you do with an institution like that, and with a $10 million, let's say, expenditure budget or project budget, money for projects, you take the money and you identify these elements, 50, 60, 70 of them, 100 of them, and you distribute the money among them with certain criteria, of course. And what you tell them, that if you are now training 30 persons, we expect that you're going to train 100 or 70, as the case may be. And of course, if you don't account according to the process that we would have adopted, then you are off the program. Nobody would want to be off the program, and they will work assiduously so that you build what? Human capacity. That is what you need to do. Human capacity across the board. And look. Let me show you just now. Let me just finish with this one. Let me show you how the PNM is so anti the people that voted for them in these communities. I'm sure you know Gart Christopher. He was an advocate at some time from over. Well, during the Pandey administration, they gave him the abandoned health center in Mova to run essentially after school or homework center, computers, everything, and of course people who would have been very good now, useful now, because everything is digital now, so they would have had that within the community to go to those persons who don't have a computer or are not, of course, digitally savvy. Guess what? As soon as they came into office in 2015, they closed it down. The same thing with MLIO. They did the same thing with MLIO. They did the same thing with Burke's, Archbishop Barbara Gray Burke's children's home, and they did the same thing with Lystra Penny's home for the displaced children. They did that. That is how self-destructive these people are, and I must align myself with that. I don't care whether or not you tell me you reform, whether you tell me that it's them in the past and not you. I don't care. Once it's the PNM, they should be relegated to the dustbin, because they will not be able to change. They are like a leopard. They can't change the spots, like a tiger that cannot change its stripes. Go ahead, my friend. I thought I should finish it.
From south.
Yeah.
I from south. if you have the amount of garages that closing down because they have workers, they have nobody coming in to train
That's
to
right.
do the straightening.
Yeah, because that's a fillip for them. That is a helping hand without much expenditure.
Yeah.
And there are stories I can tell you around that you wouldn't believe. Neil and Marcy, Toyota, and so on. Mechanics come from MLIO's training program.
Yeah.
How the hell these people can't see?
No.
You can't tell me that this by the PS and that by the PS and so on, and our children running haywire, and we have, of course, 13 to 15,000 coming out in July.
Yeah.
And a whole year, a member of the coalition of interests.
And the amount of
who has equal blame to get,
Yeah.
if things go awry. I have equal blame. So why must I take equal blame, but not being given the opportunity to specialize where I am at my best, and in an area that the present administration and the police, etc., are unable to deliver?
Yeah.
Why? No.
There's so much to talk about, eh?
Yes. Have a lot, all right?
Too much.
Yeah. But we have time moving forward, of course, from Monday, though, because tomorrow night, of course, no program. I have to go and do my sabbatical, right? Anything else that you want to share with us?
What I want to share is that the agriculture section need to boost up, because cocoa and coffee was one of our best seller.
All right, so we'll take on that next week Monday. All right? It's after 10. I'm supposed to have finished 9:30.
I will call you. Yeah, I'll call you next week.
Yeah, next week Monday, right? Till we start. Okay.
Nice talk.
Same here. Of course, people. Boy. Let me just take this last call and that's it. A pleasant good night. Welcome.
Hello, good night, Mr. Lennox and the Corridor Transformation family.
Hey, man.
Lennox.
Hey.
It ever call, I was calling the honorable and the rocketers to move forward and rocket that thing in there.
Yeah.
I find that call a Papi showing you.
But whether it's Papi showing me or not, I think it's a good motivational plank to launch my rocket from. He talking nice. It might be Mama guy, but he talking nice. Yeah.
Your support and your fight for this government, now, they're supposed to give you the opportunity now and put you in the parliament now, put together a voice to talk on behalf of all the good things.
Yes, give me the opportunity. That's all I'm asking. You ain't have to pay myself. Just give me the damn opportunity and let me start a ramage in this place. They will shock. They will shock to see what is possible.
Lennox, that's why crime can never stop. If you cry coming along from the small man, crime coming along from the top, the jacket and tie. So why they always blaming the blue collar, taking the blue collar crime and want to the white crime?
Yeah. You see, and my focus is the blue.
Population watching literally so much money missing and this missing and that gone and the end of the day no politician been getting locked up, no politician been getting arrested.
Yeah.
When you steal from the public purse, you cripple a nation.
Yeah.
So Lennox, I was watching the fight down in Shogunas, down on my side down here.
Yeah, that was
remember, it's black chicken was only fighting down here.
Yeah, that's what I observed.
People, right?
Nobody want to say it, but I had to say it, yeah.
But that driver there, he's an imp and a chimp. Because he was parked up there and he was watching the fight.
Okay.
And when the guys and them run off, he looking to pull off now. It's thank God for the young lady.
Yeah,
who's gonna stop him there.
Because he might have damaged the boy twice. One from the beating and one from
I'm take outside the box, you know. Remember down there's a East Indian community. I feel like one of the East Indian driver there. Because the black shirt and them getting on. They not your views, they're my views. And look at the thing in there. You must come out of your vehicle because you stand up, you see that Friday and they see that team run off and gone. You didn't come out your car before you pull off. You just pull off just so thank God for the young lady was surrendering.
Well, even if he didn't see and that happened, he has a car there, so let's assume that he didn't see because he was driving, so they stop him. I doubt he would have crushed
that. When the guys and the boys and them was fighting there, right? the car was ready, and when the boys and them run off and gone after they kick up the youth man in the head and thing, and they could have killed him there. Then after the car looking to pull out.
Yeah, but what's saying is, that's right, and that is because clearly, yeah, but listen.
And that's how much imps and chimps in the society, that's big people right around there, you watching students fighting there, and all in going and pattern and thinking they're making them lecture and control big people out in society.
Right. So I understand all of that, but I will not brief for the driver. But it's clear that he did not know.
Driver, but he had to be more careful and come out.
All right, okay. In future, right.
Well, Lennox.
Yeah, go ahead.
I believe West Premier and tell my local firm might be in the parliament.
All right, okay. Tomorrow. Let's see. I'm willing to serve, as I say, in the way that I have announced. And as a matter of my word, it's about time that we get rid of this problem. And you could only get it by people who know, who have been there. I remember very distinctly in the aftermath of the 1990 coup. I'll play it for you probably next week, because Nizam Mohammed recognized the contribution made by MLIO, led by me. When we wrote and said, listen, of the 100 and something young persons that took guns and tried to overthrow the sitting government of A.N.I. Robinson under the NAR. We said, listen, we are from, the vast majority is from Laventille and so on. The very kind of youths that we were training at Fernandez compound. And we said, listen, give us a chance then to clean the Red House. And we were given the chance by both the sitting speaker, then Nizam Mohammed, and of course, not Emmanuel Hussein, but Emmanuel Carter, who was the president of the Senate at the time. Both of them agreed. And we went and we cleaned. And whilst doing that, we recognized that the two maces, that silver and golden rod, if you want to call it that, or plank, that you see the marshal of the court wears in front of the speaker or ahead of the president when the sitting is in the Senate. You see that? That was broken. And then the then government said, listen, they're going to send it to England to repair. And we said, no. This is our parliament. This is our democracy. The Red House has been infringed, has been molested, has been raped, and therefore our democracy. And we told them, we told both Carter and Nizam Mohammed, listen, we will organize to repair it. And we got a fellow from Mova who was working Why Dilemma. You may not know that the anniversary is coming up in July. I will be vocal. For the first time, people must know. People must know. And those who don't know must know that they don't know. And they just don't have the capacity and the ability. And they must leave it to those who have the capacity and the ability and stop their grandstanding and their tomfoolery. So, we got to the young man from Why Dilemma, and Why Dilemma said yes, they could repair it. And troop, we collected money from every and anybody, and of course the government brought up the rear. And those two maces that you see them using in the both parliaments are talking about the lower house and the upper house, is we repaired that. We repaired it. People don't know that. People don't know. But I'm saying so from the perspective that coming out of that, we were given the authority, the privilege at any major activity in the parliament that we would be notified as appreciation as to what we did. But it happened for the first 3-4 times, and then we stopped that, and then the invitation stopped coming. Well, I'm going to revisit that. I've mentioned that to Wade Mark, and I'm yet to mention it to the Speaker of the House. I'm going to write them formally. We need to take credit where credit is due, and not to have others parasitically take credit for what you have done. So it's going to happen. We repaired those 2 messes. Never look for any fame. And when the commission of, and just in case you have a problem, look at the report of the Commission of Inquiry into the 1990 coup, and you will see in the section where they say special awards to be given, well, in the bottom of it, the only non-governmental agency or organization that is on that list is MLIO, the Mobile Laventille Improvement Organization, for what it did in the aftermath of the 1990 attempted coup. We know what we are doing. How dare anybody question? And I have a lot of that kind of revelations to give you. You'll be shocked. After laying all that work, all that, since 1984, and passed through all of that, and now, of course, we have found a vehicle where we can, of course, get an opportunity to settle the Laventille question and those young people that have gone astray, those who are contemporary, those who are to be, and those who are betwixt or in transition. I'm going to give you some stories about how we saw the problem and decided to do something about it. There's an institution existing right now in Gonzales in relation to that, you know. But I will deal with that next week. Have a wonderful rest of the night. God bless. And see you tomorrow morning on the ground report, Andy and myself, as we continue with these and other issues. You see, of course, a diagram, a video in the back of me. Well, that is about MLIO. MLIO on the move. You notice that the Mobile Laventille Improvement Organization, a resource center on the move, right here on George Street. And of course, what is this all about? It is about, you see it coming up there? Yeah, personal responsibility. The other thing that is all about, and those are newspaper clippings you see swinging, etc. Community pride. And you'll see, of course, another picture with a former prime minister is under social change. And the other one, of course, is training. We're about training. And the other one, of course, is about dealing with attitudinal and anti-crime focus. And then, of course, we have transformation in general, which the corridor transformation entity, this program, is part of. Because without it, we couldn't reach you and to let you know what the truth are. And those who are saying that Laventille ain't want nothing, and Laventille, so let me tell you this. When the UNC in its previous incarnation, I'll end with this, decided to give every single renter or tenant of these apartments across the street, on Nelson Street, Duncan Street, Mangroves, etc., those apartments for $100. Let me repeat. The UNC between 2010 and 2015 had a policy that says they're going to give these apartments to the registered tenants. Once you can prove that you are the signatory to the contract, for $100. Eulalie James, the parliamentary representative then for Port of Spain South, tell them it's a trick. And they never took up the opportunity. You know what these apartments, once properly cared for and people are guided in Port of Spain, what they would have worked today if they had taken it up, and of course the transformation process would have started then. Yes, I know you are saying that with all these crimes and gangs and so on and so on, but I'm talking about with the absence of the gang, because you would have had a situation where what we are attempting to do now, we could have started since back then. And so for Carnival, these apartments are right in town. You just clear out one of the rooms and you could rent, and everybody collectively advertise in New York and Britain and so on, and you get Yankee money or British pound, even better, every Carnival. And after you reclaim your place or you regain your place, and you continue until next Carnival. That's one. You could have it as collateral to buy a car, to start a business, because you would have been given it by the then UNC government under the same Kamala Prasad Bisesa. Why you think I am so damn optimistic? But I know that the PNM has, and believe that they have some kind of what I consider to be political currency, political ascendancy. Well, no, they continue, of course, to dive and remain deep. They are in a state of purgatory and will not emerge from that anytime before, at minimum, 2060 and possibly 2090. In other words, relegated to the dustbin of political history. Once again, I'll work for this government for free, never for the PNM. And I'll tell you on Monday, the PNM approached me. And what is in Gonzales today as proof will reveal the details of that fact. Have a wonderful one. God bless. Because we can make it what? If we what? If we try. I mean, we close off, caller, but tell me.
Well, that is how life can be, Mr. Lennox. This is how life can be. Because, I listen to your program. I'm a first-time caller also on your program.
Okay, all right, go ahead, yes.
And I love what I hear. Yes, okay. I'm here to help you. You said so many things, and when I first saw your program and your inquiries made to serve the meek and the poor and the needy, I said, this is a program I have to follow. And I am very certain I'm here to help you. On the 12th of this month, we has put in place an organization that is already there when I say put in place, but at the same time, the parole and the crime that is existing in the country. We are intending, according to that group and the design, to meet at George Street, and you will correct me.
Yes.
I'm saying to Trinidad and Tobago, this is a national group. This has nothing to do with politics. This is not about yellow and red. This is about putting a fear back in the country. It's not what our country could do for us, but what we can do for our countries. And I'm saying, come the 12th, we're looking for valuable people, and especially NGOs, young people, come out and understand where crime comes from and where it heads and what we can do for you. This is not talk. This is something that must create a history That will never, because everybody, I want to say to you, Lennox, you is a very, very tedious man. When I say tedious, I mean the way you work to bring this country to a level, I mean in the sense of courage to the African man especially. Because sometimes we like a no-head chicken. We're not sure where we are. You wonder if it is a real people. And I am following this group, and this group intend to make some changes. And I, as a bishop, I have several ministers, several drummers, but as everything else, as the Prime Minister would always say, step in your lane. I am waiting for some more information as to where we will gather, and I'm sure we'll be at Judge Street come the 12th of June. And I pray that you will call me, Mr. Lennox. I hope that you will call me, because you and I are in common. And as I said, I come to help you. It says, sad to set up late, rise early and eat the bread of sorrow.
Yes, man. Thank you very much, my friend.
You want to say anything to me before?
Yes. I want to say thank you very much for your kind words. Certainly, of course, I will be without doubt in support of, and where I can make an input, certainly, as we work in the spirit of reciprocity. But that might be a selfish term, so let me say a symbiotic relationship where we exist for our mutual benefit. All right?
I am indeed satisfied. Don't mind those words. I will have to go in my dictionary this hour. But I would wait in the morning when you all Andy might be able to help me, you know. So
I hear you.
My brother, I want to tell you, you know, all the listeners by now done under the sheet, and this is what to transpire.
Yes.
I'm telling you, let's do it with all our might.
Yes.
You know, this is, I sing a song 4 years ago, Brother Lennox, and the audience that's still up. I don't know if you have time for 4 lines, but let me just show you something.
Yes.
I am not called by guests. He said, many are called and few are chosen, and I will be one of the speakers come the 12th ground level on the expectation. Hear what that song says.
Go ahead.
Hello Trinidad, you're the land of my birth, and how are you Tobago? Children, all you keep of the heritage. I'm about to turn a new page, because in this day and age, I see nation against nation, and kingdom against kingdom. Children, I say, we cease to pray, so we want to fight. I will stop me because you won't want to buy.
Yeah. Next week we'll have a lot to talk about. So continue to do the good work.
My number.
Yes. Yeah. I have your number. I have your number. Yes.
Yeah, so, great.
I've seen it here on the set. Yes. Same to you. Well, Well, for the first time, people, of course, I would have had to say good night. And I have to say good night for the second time, but this is the final time. So, of course, and in the good words of the last caller, I think that this is very appropriate. We will make it because we would have tried.
So the treasury broke and they say that recession jamming. So to foreign countries really start migrating. They lose faith in the country, they say we gone down the drain. They say no more could we see happy times again. But the will to recover in my people like have confidence. Although many may seem to feel majority of we decide we're not going to run, because now is the time to show we patriotism. For we country facing, it's dark, it's sour. So our people need us today more than ever. But in our fight to recover, if ever you feel to surrender, it have one little thing that I want you always remember. We could make it if we try, just a little harder. If we just get one more try, life could be much sweeter. From the country, we analyze just what was the problem. Yes, we start making very positive moves to solve them. We fire the old set on managers we had working, and it's a new group we went and we bring in. And if the goods we require, them new managers not supplying. When election time come back wrong, it's new ones we bring in. But if it's one thing about my people, I could guarantee that they would never ever put party before country. And if the country facing is dark, is sour, and our people need us today more than ever. But in our fight to recover, if ever you feel to surrender, you have one little thing that I want you always remember.